Ethan had never imagined that his life would change the moment he stepped onto Vera Prime. The planet was alive in ways he could barely comprehend. Crystal lakes shimmered under two suns, floating above the ground in defiance of gravity, while bioluminescent forests stretched across the horizon, pulsing gently as if the very plants had a heartbeat. The air carried a sweet, unfamiliar scent, a mixture of minerals and flora, and he felt both exhilarated and nervous. Humans were rare visitors here, and every eye in the crowd seemed to fix on him. He had arrived as an explorer, a student of alien cultures expecting to study, observe, and perhaps take notes for the interstellar archives. Yet the moment he walked into the city plaza, he realized he had entered a world where humans were not just unusual, they were extraordinary. And the excitement soon turned into confusion as an official approached him. "Ethan Clark," the official began, voice melodic but precise. "You have been selected to participate in the Life Pairing Festival. Your match awaits." Ethan froze. "Life pairing?" he asked cautiously. The official smiled, a faint curve that seemed more serious than friendly. "It is a tradition of Vera Prime. Every citizen and visitor is assigned a life partner. This is for harmony, cooperation, and survival." Ethan blinked, trying to process. On Earth, there were arranged marriages in some societies, but this was something else. And as he looked around, he saw the crowd part, their many-colored eyes gleaming with curiosity and anticipation. Then she appeared. Petite, delicate yet radiating confidence, Lyra stepped forward. Her skin had a soft iridescence, reflecting the sunlight in shifting hues of lavender and blue. Her eyes, large and luminous, seemed almost too intelligent for her small frame. She smiled, and Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. "You've been matched with a wife," she said, her voice light but firm, "and that's me." The plaza fell silent for a heartbeat. Then a soft murmur spread through the crowd. Ethan opened his mouth to respond, but no words came. His mind was spinning. "I know this is sudden," Lyra continued, tilting her head slightly, "but our match is designed for compatibility. You'll see. I'll help you understand everything." Ethan swallowed hard. He wasn't sure if he should be terrified or intrigued. Lyra's confidence was disarming, and her smile made it difficult to refuse. Yet the concept of being matched so suddenly with a being from another world was beyond anything he had studied. I don't know what to say," he finally stammered. "Then say nothing," Lyra said gently. "We will spend the day together. That is enough for now." And so the festival began. Ethan followed her through the streets of Vera Prime, streets built of translucent crystal that reflected light in every direction. People moved with elegance and grace, their movements synchronized almost like a dance. Lyra explained customs and traditions, introducing him to the concept of personal harmony, shared responsibilities, and mutual respect, ideas that had existed in human society only in fragments. As they walked, Ethan observed the planet more closely. Floating gardens hung above the streets, tethered by glowing vines. Animals of various shapes and sizes wandered freely, none showing fear of the citizens. Lyra explained that the citizens of Vera Prime had lived alongside nature in perfect balance for centuries. "Everything here has its place," she said, gesturing to a flock of small, shimmering creatures that flew like liquid silver. "And everyone has theirs too." Ethan nodded, trying to keep up. He felt like a child in a classroom, overwhelmed yet fascinated. The morning passed in a blur of learning and observation. Lyra guided him to the crystal lakes, where they paused on a floating platform. Ethan marveled at the water suspended mid-air, droplets glittering like stars. Lyra knelt by the edge, tracing her fingers through the liquid without it spilling. "Isn't it beautiful?" she asked, glancing up at him. "It's incredible," Ethan admitted. "I've never seen anything like this," she smiled. "There is much you will see today and much more to understand. But first you must learn to trust me." Ethan hesitated. Trust was easy to say, but harder to give, especially on a planet where everything was unfamiliar. Yet something in Lyra's gaze made him want to believe her. Their afternoon adventure was interrupted by a sudden commotion. A native creature, large and covered in iridescent scales, charged toward the platform. Its multiple legs moved with terrifying speed, and its sharp mandibles clicked as it advanced. Ethan froze, his heart racing. "Stay behind me," Lyra commanded, stepping forward without hesitation. Her small frame belied the strength in her movements. With a series of precise gestures, she dodged the creature, throwing a small device that emitted a bright flash of light. The creature screeched and retreated, leaving them both shaken but unharmed. Ethan's mouth was dry. How did you do that? He asked. Lyra shrugged, though a hint of pride flickered in her eyes. Survival skills are part of life here. You'll learn them too. By the time the sun began to dip, casting long purple shadows across the crystal streets, Ethan realized he was no longer merely a visitor. Lyra had guided him, protected him, and shared a glimpse of a world he could scarcely imagine. He felt a bond forming, tentative but undeniable. As they sat atop a floating cliff overlooking the city, Lyra leaned slightly closer. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "we will explore more than the city. There are secrets in the forests that even most citizens do not see." Ethan nodded, a mixture of excitement and apprehension swirling inside him. He still had so much to learn, and yet he felt a strange comfort in knowing that Lyra would be by his side. The festival, the match, the alien customs, all of it seemed less daunting with her presence. That night, as he lay in the guest quarters assigned to him, Ethan's mind raced. The concept of being matched with a wife, especially one from another species, had seemed surreal this morning. Now, after hours spent with Lyra, he understood that this pairing was more than a tradition. It was a partnership, a journey, a bridge between worlds. He closed his eyes, the glow of the bioluminescent forests still vivid in his mind. For the first time on Vera Prime, he felt a small sense of belonging, and though he would never admit it aloud, he was curious to see what tomorrow would bring. Tomorrow, he realized, was only the beginning. The next morning, Ethan awoke to the soft light of Vera Prime filtering through translucent walls. The twin suns bathed the room in shades of gold and lavender, and the faint hum of the city below reminded him that this world never truly slept. Stretching, he rubbed his eyes and remembered Lyra's words from the night before. Secrets awaited in the forest beyond the city. By the time he stepped outside, Lyra was already waiting, her small frame perched lightly on a floating platform like a bird about to take flight. Her smile greeted him, warm and confident, dispelling any lingering unease he felt. "Ready for today?" she asked, tilting her head. "I think so," Ethan replied, though the uncertainty in his voice betrayed him. "Don't think. Observe, learn, and trust," she said simply. Together, they moved toward the outskirts of the city, where the bioluminescent forest began. The trees were taller here, with branches that twisted in impossible angles and leaves that glowed softly even in daylight. Strange creatures scuttled among the roots and vines, curious but cautious. Lyra pointed out features Ethan would have otherwise missed: a vine that healed cuts when touched, mushrooms that emitted light in response to sound, and small insects whose wings refracted the sun like miniature prisms. As they ventured deeper, Ethan began to appreciate the careful balance of life on Vera Prime. Nothing seemed accidental. Everything had a purpose, a role, a rhythm. Lyra moved through it as though she were part of it herself. "This forest," she explained, "has been alive long before humans or even our ancestors arrived. It teaches patience, observation, and respect. If you ignore it, it will remind you harshly." Ethan nodded, feeling a growing admiration for her. She was not only beautiful but intelligent, perceptive, and courageous. Being matched with her was daunting, yes, but also exhilarating. Hours passed as they explored, and Ethan's initial awkwardness began to fade. They climbed floating rocks, crossed suspended bridges of vines, and even waded through streams of crystal-clear water that shimmered with strange colors. Every moment was a lesson on survival, culture, and subtle communication. Then, without warning, a sudden tremor shook the ground. Ethan stumbled, grabbing a nearby tree for support. The forest seemed to change around them, shadows stretching unnaturally, and the air grew thick with tension. "Something is coming," Lyra said, her voice calm but alert. She crouched, scanning the area with sharp eyes. "Stay close." From between the glowing trees, a pack of creatures emerged. They were larger than any Ethan had seen, with glistening scales, multiple eyes, and claws that dug into the soft ground. Their movement was coordinated, hunting in packs like predators on Earth, and they seemed disturbed by the humans' intrusion. Ethan's heart pounded. "What do we do?" he whispered. "Watch me," Lyra replied. She moved with surprising speed and agility, leading Ethan along the safest path while keeping the creatures at bay. She carried small devices that emitted flashes of light and sound, confusing the pack without harming them. Ethan tried to mimic her movements, but he was slower, less graceful, and the creatures closed in. A sharp screech echoed through the forest as one of the beasts lunged toward Ethan. He froze, and in a heartbeat Lyra was there, pushing him out of the way and facing the creature herself. The flash of her device startled it, giving them a moment to retreat. Breathing heavily, Ethan looked at her in awe. "You saved me," she shrugged, though the intensity in her eyes revealed otherwise. "We protect each other. That is what a match means. That is what trust means." Ethan nodded, a deep sense of respect growing inside him. He realized that this partnership was far more than a festival ritual. It was real. It demanded courage, cooperation, and mutual reliance. The encounter left them both shaken but unharmed. Lyra led Ethan to a hidden clearing, where the forest opened up to reveal a small lagoon. The water shimmered like liquid silver, and bioluminescent plants leaned over its edges. "This is a safe place," she said, kneeling at the water's edge. "Here we can rest and learn without danger." Ethan allowed himself to relax. Sitting beside her, he took in the quiet beauty of the lagoon. For the first time, he felt a sense of calm and belonging on this alien world. They spent the afternoon sharing stories. Lyra spoke of her childhood, of traditions, of her hopes and fears. She confessed that while the Life Pairing Festival was a cultural requirement, she had chosen to embrace her match with him fully because she admired humans for their creativity, resilience, and unpredictability. Ethan listened, captivated by her honesty and vulnerability. "And you?" she asked finally. "What do you think of this match?" Ethan hesitated. "At first I didn't understand it. I was confused, maybe even scared, but now I think it's not just about tradition. It's about partnership, about learning from each other and facing challenges together. And I want to try. I want to see where this can go." Her smile widened, soft and genuine. "Then we are partners, truly." The moment was interrupted by a sudden alarm from the city, a signal that danger was approaching. Lyra's expression changed instantly. "We need to go. There are factions that would exploit a human's presence here. You must not be used as a pawn." Ethan's pulse quickened. "What do we do?" "We face it together," Lyra said firmly. "And remember everything you've learned." The return to the city was tense. Shadows moved in the alleys, and Ethan could feel the weight of curious and hostile eyes. Lyra led him to a council chamber, where she addressed the city leaders. Her voice was confident and commanding, asserting that Ethan was under her protection, not a tool for political gain. When the faction confronted them, expecting to intimidate, they were met with careful strategy. Lyra and Ethan moved in tandem, blending human ingenuity with Veyran tactics. Ethan found himself improvising solutions, using technology and logic in ways that impressed even the seasoned leaders of the city. The confrontation ended without violence, and the would-be manipulators were dismissed, their plans foiled. Ethan realized he had not only survived but had contributed meaningfully. For the first time, he felt a true sense of accomplishment on this alien world. That evening, as they walked through the city streets now quiet and peaceful, Ethan looked at Lyra with a new understanding. She was more than a guide, more than a match assigned by tradition. She was a partner, a friend, and perhaps even something more. "You did well today," she said, her voice soft but sincere. "You handled yourself with courage." Ethan smiled, a mixture of relief and pride swelling within him. "I couldn't have done it without you." "And I couldn't have done it without you," Lyra replied. "That is what makes a true match. We complement each other. We learn, protect, and grow together." They reached the floating gardens overlooking the city plaza, where the festival had begun. The twin suns were setting, casting a kaleidoscope of colors across the city. Ethan marveled at the beauty, but even more, he marveled at the journey he had undergone in just 2 days. "I think I understand now," he said quietly. "The match. It's not just about ceremony or culture. It's about partnership. It's about respect and trust. And in a strange way, it's about love too, even if it comes slowly." Lyra's eyes shone. "And we will discover that together." As night fell, Ethan looked at the stars above Vera Prime, so close they seemed within reach. For the first time in his life, he felt part of something larger than himself, a connection that transcended species and culture. He knew the road ahead would have challenges, but he also knew that with Lyra by his side, he was ready for anything. The festival had begun as a strange and confusing tradition, but it ended as the beginning of a true partnership. And as Ethan drifted into sleep that night, he smiled knowing that this world, alien, beautiful, and unpredictable, had given him more than he could have imagined. A companion, a mentor, and perhaps a lifetime of discovery with the petite alien who had announced with a smile, "You've been matched with a wife, and that's me." The journey was only beginning, but for the first time Ethan felt he was exactly where he belonged.